consist of the help with?
This is the suicide prevention and mental health crisis line of the Boston area. We can provide information in regards to crisis services as well as intake information for the local mental health authority.
Okay, well, I have a traumatic experience, and I was told it does say online that you don't deny services for the ability to pay and other reasoning. But I was told that there's a waiting list, and I am being denied services for no reasoning. So, nonetheless, I was wanting to know about the other programs that perhaps maybe you offer. I also saw that there was case management, which is I was also denied. It didn't really make sense if they had to wait to give me therapy. Why would I be deprived of the right to have a case manager? But it's happened to me for 10 years.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, I just don't know where to begin because, I have experienced traumatic experiences. In each location I go, I like to be proactive and get involved in support groups, but I'm repeatedly denied it since I got arrested and assaulted at one in Garland.
Okay. So in regards to why you're denied services, I wouldn't know that. As we don't have anything to do with the intake process or how to determine anything. But I could definitely see how that could be frustrating. So right now, they're looking to start services. A few other services are offered, correct?
Right. I'm interested in support groups and being proactive, maybe some therapy for trauma. Since the case management's denied for, if I could be involved with other people that are experiencing domestic violence crisis situations and be able to be a support system for each other, if that's a possibility, that would be, great to, gain a support system.
Okay, so I wouldn't have any, as far as resources, can I please have your zip code to kind of see what's in your area specifically?
Okay.
Or
Okay. You
what's
see
in
that? So you see that? So why was I being denied services? If you see
No,
that.
I'm not asking, so just to confirm, you were in housing. I was returning a call that you had made previously.
Oh yes, I was on the line with someone else. Yes, I came in and I was told that you had from Mid Coast. I was referred to you, and they denied me all assistance to get help with domestic violence and housing. And they said that you offered something, and then when I came in, I just really didn't get an understanding because it was like there wasn't housing offered when I came in person. So I'm just not quite sure. I did have the paperwork stating that I was fleeing a domestic violence crisis, and really didn't get direction on what you guys offer.
We have a first come, first served basis on our apartments, so there's no priorities. Um, it is a wait list, and you can fill out the wait list application to be put on the wait list, but we don't have anything immediate.
Okay, so as far as the like Section 8 and all that, you don't get placed on the housing list for that period when it comes to domestic violence? Because used to be when I first got in my crisis, I've heard people say that they got placed on housing programs, but it all ended when I got in my crisis. I've heard people say that they were in shelters and then they put them on waiting lists, but I've never seen it my whole time I've been in my crisis, ever.
Yeah, you can come in and fill out an application for
I'm
it.
just I'm not just trying to
Oh,
gain clarity on if anyone actually gets placed on the housing list because I've never seen it. I've heard people that experienced that, but I've never experienced it. I'm always denied it. So I was told that you can get placed on the housing list, but they're always closed when I show up. So I'm just not I'm not quite sure if I'm being deprived of services or if they're actually closed. How is it that all of a sudden now that all housing lists are closed when I show up, but people have somehow have gotten on them?
well, for like the Section 8, that's closed right now for our area. We're not taking any applications, but there are people on Section 8 that were in it before it closed.
So
So
there
those
is
people are still being served.
okay. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So certain people have gotten placed on lists, but did it change? And now you can no longer be placed on the housing list. And now there is opens
Right.
and closed.
The funding that we were provided is all being used with the people that we have
program. So we don't have any extra funding to
Oh, so
continue
when did it
that.
close?
It was October of last year.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so it used to be open, but it just recently closed.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I
And
just
we're expecting it to reopen. We just don't know when.
okay, that wasn't communicated to me. I thought she said that it could be years.
Could be. We don't know. We don't have anything to go on.
That's what I've been getting here. That's what I've been hearing. It's just peculiar how other people are getting housed. And in the past, I've had police push and shove me from the stew pot for trying to get housed, and now everything is closed. And then I had Salvation Army and Tyler lie to me about the housing that they had, and then other people were getting their rent paid and multiple different other things. Then I realized I was targeted, and people were deliberately lying to me to keep me from housing because it just was peculiar that people were getting housed around me, and then it just never happened, and it just was pathological lies. I didn't understand why people were treating me that way. But some kind of way, there's housing for women that flee abuse, and there's an apartment complex with a waiting list. I'm just not sure how to get it. I've heard women get it. I've just never seen it. In fact, I've heard men have gotten housing, and I haven't seen it either. Not just women. So if I'm not being offered the services and everything closed down upon my arrival, or if I'm pushed and shoved and violated trying to get services, I'm not quite sure how to combat something like that. So there is help with domestic violence, but there's a specific apartment complex that you have to wait on. Is that correct?
Yeah, for the public housing, that's what we have available now, and that's what the wait list is on.
Okay, so it's were they saying that there's a domestic abuse wait list or something that you go on the top of the list? I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
Not in our program. Some places have like priorities, so those that
I was
have
told
the
that you guys
domestic
had a
violence.
priority. I was told that, and then when I show up, it just changes our procedures. So you,
As far as I know, I mean, I've only been here 5 years, but it hasn't been. It's always been first come, first serve.
okay, I was told by Mid Coast because Mid Coast denied me all assistance for housing, their apartment complex, all kind of any kind of help to get housing. They told me to go there and I get the runaround. So I came there, and then she said the list was closed. Then she said some kind of apartment complex that could possibly take years, but I keep hearing this. And then people get their apartments, move on with their life, and I'm still forced into homelessness. It's just the strangest thing. So I just go place to place to place to get nowhere. It's like someone's playing a mind game. And it's not easy for me. I don't have transportation to go here and go there. And it's really people are providing the service. They just don't want me to know that they're denying me. Mid Coast was supposed to offer these services, and other parties have stated that, but they didn't want to offer me the services, so they played the runaround and sent me there to get denied services. But this has been happening 10 years ever since I've been in my crisis. I'm just trying to prove my experiences. So if there's a waiting list for if women get placed on the top of the list for being in domestic violence, I just repeatedly don't see it. I've heard there's apartment complexes that no one will tell me about that you can get in. Some people get in them. No one will tell me about them. I will relocate, but everyone is silent and leaves me in my abuse. Almost everywhere I'm at, including churches. So I'm not sure how to combat that. If I was told by Jackie at Midcoast that she did not give me any kind of assistance, but some kind of way somebody else got an apartment, and you just have to put the pieces together to know that you're being lied to. In fact, my roommate, she got an apartment, but with me, I was excluded from that. I found my own place to stay. She tells me to come there, and I'm not thinking that she's blatantly lying, but she is because she got someone else an apartment. So she tells me to come there to get denied assistance, to get on the top of the waiting list, that you had your own housing program for women fleeing abuse, but you're trying to put me in a public housing altogether and no kind of program for women fleeing abuse, so that's still not being offered.
Yeah, unfortunately, our program doesn't do that. It's a first come, first serve basis.
So I'm just not quite certain on why people will be dishonest with me and exclude me from services that she gives other people. Like I've had to experience years. I'm just not quite certain on why people repeatedly treat me like that. Then I came there. Like I said, I don't have transportation. It wasn't easy to get there, to get denied assistance there. To tell me that program, you guys told me the program don't exist. And everywhere I'm at for 10 years has told me the same thing. I've never seen an apartment complex for women fleeing abuse. But I heard they exist. No one will tell me about it.
I don't know. Now, have you tried with Fox Run or Houston House or Salem Village?
Well,
I don't know that.
I'm just trying to gather, gather my bearings. I've relocated. I'm just trying to see, if there's a conspiracy perhaps, and people are deliberately keeping me from services because I've communicated with people that were supposed to give me housing, and then they retract. That I find if I find help on my own, they'll retract on assistance. So if I run into people and network and find help, it gets me nowhere. So I'm just trying to collect the pieces and figure out what's going on why so many parties have an interest in depriving me of assistance that they give others. And I have to try to expose it so something can be done about it.
Yeah, I don't know how the other programs work, so I don't think I'm any help to you.
I'm just not quite certain if this is a housing authority, for Victoria, where the discrepancy would be. Where would I go to find out about these programs? Because the domestic violence organization was instructed by the police to not tell me, and they didn't. So if you can't communicate with the housing authority or no shelter, and in fact people want to be in cahoots with the abuse, I just don't know how to, what to do with that. I'm willing to relocate, but no one will give me avenues on how to relocate so I can have rights that other citizens have. If I'm forced to endure this, I'd at least like to get therapy or some kind of common ground on how to handle the mistreatment and how to still be living in the civil rights movement in 2025.
Yeah. Our program doesn't deal with any of that, though. I wouldn't know how to help you here.
I'm just not really certain on if this is a housing authority. What exactly would you be able to advise as a housing authority? I mean, do you gain information on how to get someone housed in the different programs with women fleeing abuse with the housing authority?
We just refer. We don't. That's up to them on how they handle that. Like Mid-Coast does have a bunch of different programs, and we refer people over there to check into it to see what's available.
Okay, well, what are the programs they offer?
I don't know that. That's what they have.
You just said that Mid-Coast has a lot of programs, and you refer over for them to get help with that.
I tell them to go check it out because I don't know what they have, but I know they have a lot of different programs.
So this is a runaround. Mid-Coast said go to you, and then you're saying go to Mid-Coast.
Yes, we do refer to Mid-Coast.
So this is the same.
We refer to Community Action and Mid-Coast and, wherever we think somebody could get help.
I called Community Action, and she hung up in my face. She didn't want me to know what services they offered. I'm just trying to prove to people how I get treated because it's not realistic. That I'm trying to prove that there's a conspiracy to keep me from getting housed and corruption. That's why one like me would be homeless for so long. That someone is deliberately planning and scheming to keep me from getting housed.
I don't think that's true. But, all I can say is for us.
I'm not quite certain on how you would not feel that way. If you said Mid-Coast have programs and they sent me to you and you can't help.
Because that's what we do.
But I'm not from across the board. What was your name?
Virginia.
Okay, I'm just not really getting clarity. If Mid-Coast did not give me any services that they offer and you didn't, what would you assume?
I would assume they didn't have availability.
I don't know what they offer, neither do you.
Right, so you asked them.
I asked them what they offered and they denied it. They sent me to you. I communicated that with you and you denied it. And your housing authority.
I don't understand what you're saying because all I can do is offer you the public housing waitlist application.
If there's the domestic violence program that's hidden from me, then how do I combat that?
It is not hidden. We don't have a domestic violence program.
Okay, well then you said Mid-Coast possibly has it. It is hidden because I don't know how to get it. Neither does Mid-Coast or you, and you're the housing authority. So if no
What does
one
that
is,
have to do with that?
I thought I would assume that you were a housing authority. You would have direction on how to get people housed.
With our program, yes.
Okay, and then you said that you can refer out.
Yes, we just tell people different resources to go to.
Okay, so but you're excluding the resource for women fleeing abuse. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, I never said that.
Okay, so the resource for women fleeing abuse. Once again, the resource for women getting a woman housed that's fleeing abuse. What resource is that?
Let me look at my resource book and see what they have.
Okay, thank you. 211 to get. Is there a particular reason why you said you were going to look in your book and then you gave me
I'm
211?
giving you resources.
I
That's
just
all
thought
I'm
that the
doing.
housing authority would probably have more resources. I called 211 to get nowhere. I
The
imagine that the housing
only
authority would be perfect to give people housing, direction. It's
for our
supposed to be a
program,
great
you can
fit.
come in and apply for the program.
You just told me that you were
But
going to check for women fleeing abuse. I got something to write with. You put me on hold to give me nothing.
I'm sorry that I'm not helping you any, but that's all I can do is give you resources.
You didn't give me any, but you just gave me
I
211.
did. I told you Mid-Coast Community Action, and then there are like churches and different places that
Okay.
might be able to help you with things.
Okay, so let me make sure I have clarity. So I have called the housing authority, Victoria Housing Authority, and you're referring me back to Midcoast, which referred me to you. You're referring me to call 211 for housing options, and you are referring me to churches to get housing options at the Victoria Housing Authority. Is that correct?
Now, the churches don't give housing assistance; they just give assistance.
I'm just trying to get
For
clarity that is it correct that the Victoria Housing Authority is telling me to go to Midcoast to get housing resources and go to churches to get resources and go elsewhere outside of the housing authority. Is that correct?
yes, those are the resources that we offer or refer to.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why you're denying me assistance?
I am not. I've told you you can come in and apply for the program.
Okay, but is there a particular reason why the resources for domestic violence are being hidden?
They are not.
Okay, the only option that I have is mid coast churches and the community action. So is there? It's impossible. Are you able to do legwork if I apply or do an application to find out if there's any housing opportunity for women fleeing abuse? There's some kind of apartment complexes that no one wants me to know about. I feel safer because my situation is different. But each location I'm going is conspiring with my abuse to leave me in it. So they all sabotage assistance and leave me in the abuse. So that's why I thought that a housing authority would be a better fit, but they do it too.
That is your opinion. Now I'm
I'm just
giving
not
you my
quite certain
resource,
that you
and
telling
we
me to go
have.
other places to get housed. What you said that
No,
only
I'm
my only option.
referring you to those other places.
Right,
Okay.
but I'm trying to get services with you guys. So you're saying that my only option would be the one community, which is your public housing?
Yes. Right now, that's all we have.
Okay, and what is the public housing? What is it? A certain complex? What's the name of it? I'm new
We have
here.
a couple of different locations. It's listed under public housing. So when the next you'd be put on the wait list, and then when your name is called, you'd come in to apply for the actual program, and then they would give you the next available apartment.
I'm sorry, I
But
don't.
there is a wait list, so it wouldn't be immediate.
Right, I've had heard that 10 years. So, but as far as the domestic violence situation, it just can't be done. Period. It's just the house call telling the housing authority you're in a domestic violence crisis. You
You're a
just
first
cannot
come,
do
first served
anything.
basis.
So now the option for you don't have your own housing complex. I was blatantly lied to by Jackie because she said you did, and when she denied assistance.
I'm not sure what she's saying or what she's
I'm
implying.
communicating. She said that you had your own housing situation for women fleeing abuse. And then when I came in, they denied me that information and then told me the Section 8 was full and then basically told me to do something else that I did not come for. And then Jackie at Midcoast also denied all assistance for housing. And I didn't dawn on me that she was blatantly lying because she was helping someone else, my roommate, with housing. So I'm just not quite certain why I keep repeatedly getting the runaround, why people don't want me to be housed and want me to be forced into homelessness. But it is what it is, man.
To be housed. We just don't. I mean, you have to.
I just really not being heard that Jackie blatantly lied. And then, for some kind of way, all locations I go to don't want me living in places designed for women fleeing abuse. Why would they do that? Why would they treat me like that and then cover for crimes?
I don't believe they do. I think they help as many people as they can.
You never heard about conspiracy? That's why it's a felony charge. They have conspiracies. I'm not quite certain why you wouldn't.
That's what's going on here.
If she lied, what do you think's happening? If she lied, what do you think's happening?
I don't know the situation. I wasn't there.
I'm explaining that I'm in the domestic violence crisis, and everywhere I went has scammed to keep me from housing for women fleeing abuse, including them. You told me that they have housing programs. They said you did. And then they won't tell me the housing programs, nor will you, and you're the Housing of Victoria Housing Authority. And what was your name?
Virginia, and I have told you what programs we have.
You said for the public housing.
8 and they're closed.
I mean for domestic violence, ma'am. For domestic violence.
We don't. We offer first come, first serve.
Right.
We don't offer priority.
Okay. So the problem of it is I wasn't communicated that, and you're saying that Midcoast has housing programs for women fleeing abuse, which I saw online as well.
I did not say that. I said they have different programs. I don't know what they are. You'll have to call them.
So I'm not quite certain of what you meant by programs. If I'm calling the Housing Authority trying to get housing, you said Midcoast has programs. What kind of programs were you referring to?
The assistance that they give are provided different programs. Like they would help with they have a women's shelter. That's one program. They have where they help with rent for past retro rent. That's one program. They have different programs like that.
I'm just not quite certain if I'm calling the housing authority. How can you recommend? So you think I need to call a church and ask them how to get housed for the women fleeing abuse and domestic violence crises?
You can. They may know.
That's what I'm calling the housing authority, asking questions. So you think the church would have better knowledge of that than you?
They may know something different.
Well, this is how I'm treated, ma'am.
We have 2 programs, Section 8 and public housing. Section 8 is closed and public housing has the wait list.
And then you said that it could be open anytime, and then you said it could be years.
Could be. We don't know.
Yeah,
there's not a designated time frame because we have to wait till somebody moves out of their apartment.
For the Section 8? For the Section 8?
No, that's public housing.
Okay, I'm trying to, for the Section 8, get information on that. And every location I've been to, all the lists are closed. And then when they openly lie to me.
When ours opens, we'll be using the wait list that we already have, which starts with January of 2023.
Because I waited for another waiting list to open, and then they lied when put other people on the list and deprived me of the right to be on the list. With MHMR in Fort Worth, they had some kind of list that they were putting everybody on and excluded me. So I don't know, ma'am. I just don't know how many patterns equal an arrest. I don't know how to find this apartment complex and these women fleeing abuse, how they get housed and how they get support system, because I've never seen it. And everywhere I call, no one knows. And, it just seems like it's pathological lies. You just have to prove something like that repeatedly keeps happening. I don't think anybody would believe it.
So let me ask you this. Are you considering yourself homeless?
Well, I wanted to concentrate on the programs, on how to unearth the programs for women fleeing abuse and domestic violence situations. Because in my domestic violence crisis, I have a eviction that some kind of way got racked up really high. So I have a situation going on, and I repeatedly keep getting denied of services to combat that. And I called the apartment complex and reminded them I was fleeing abuse, and they kept hanging up in my face to cover for that really high eviction amount. So I have things going on, and I wanted to have a domestic violence location if I could, that'll help me combat the issues that I have. So, nonetheless, may I ask why you asked that question?
Because I was going through my book and it had a listing of different places for homeless assistance.
Right, I keep getting railroaded to exclude me from the domestic violence crisis that I'm in. It's serious. So
So
I would
we
like
are
to.
trying to help another way so that you can still get help. I mean, if you're just going to stick with the Wawa, and nothing against it because it's a great program, and I
I
no
just can't
longer
find it.
believe in
That's
it.
why I don't know where to call and get directions to find the program. I've been robbed of it 10 years. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
So for that particular program, I don't have an answer for you. I mean, all I have is that you can come in and apply for our public housing if you'd like to.
Which is a waiting list. But for the domestic violence crisis that program, domestic violence program that Jackie said you offer, you don't offer. And they have programs, which has changed to the programs is that they have shelter, and it's not really a housing program for women fleeing abuse. So it's just no one. All of a sudden now, since I'm in my crisis, it has eliminated all domestic violence housing that a woman could possibly get for 10 years for me. I don't know where to go find it because I haven't seen it. And calling the housing authority, going to the housing authority, going to domestic violence organizations, I'm still robbed of that information.
I don't have any information for you because it's not our program.
But if I thought you had referrals.
We refer to other agencies to help with whatever they can help you with.
Okay, so for a woman fleeing abuse, you refer back to Midcoast?
We tell them about our program, and then if they need more assistance, we do refer them to Midcoast.
Okay, and your program is a waiting list that is first come, first served, not for women fleeing abuse.
Right.
Okay. And as for the programs they have for women fleeing abuse with housing, you don't have information on that. Is that correct?
Correct.
I just can't put my finger on it. Something sounds suspicious. I think someone is contacting local organizations and people in areas that I live and scheming to keep them to deprive me of assistance. I think that's what's going on. And I think they used to come in person, and then when they got caught, they used to come, bully, and intimidate and mistreat in person. And then when I started recording that, they enlist people to be accomplices to schemes to deprive me of assistance. That's what I think is really happening. I think people are pathologically lying to me to keep me from services, and you just have to prove that's happening because that is a felony. So they want to hide that they're doing it. You just got to prove it. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't help you out.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. If the housing authority don't know how to get a woman fleeing abuse housed, I don't know if how sufficient the churches would be in 211.
You never know. They have different resources, and they may know something we don't know.
No, I've called for 10 years to get nowhere. They act the same way you do.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Because Family Services may help you.
Yes, I'd like to know what kind of housing programs you have for women fleeing abuse.
I can direct you to the Women's Crisis Center, ma'am.
They did not give me any information.
That's all I can offer you, the Women's Crisis Center.
Okay, so call them and ask them what kind of housing programs they have.
You need housing? You would need to come in and pick up an application, and we'll see what we can do for you. But we're not taking applications until the first week of June.
I'm not allowed to know what they are.
What are you looking for?
Oh.
What kind of information? I'll see what I can do.
Okay, once again, the housing programs for women fleeing abuse.
And they would offer you some counseling. Can you hold on for just a minute? Hold on.
Gotta get the law straight. I didn't give a name. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you talking about?
We have caller ID, ma'am. And I'm just saying that you have some mail here.
Okay, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So whenever you want to pick it up, it's here.
Okay, but back to the housing.
Okay.
The only thing I can tell you is, like I said, I can refer you to the crisis center. They offer counseling for you.
I'm not. I get that's kind of psychologically abusive, ma'am. I've had to endure this years. I'm not quite certain if I'm asking you about housing. Housing. You said that there's counseling. That's psychologically
Yes.
abusive. Are you aware of that? Because I'm asking you about housing, and then you're speaking of counseling, and I've had to do this, endure
Well,
this psychological
I'm
abuse a
sorry,
long
but
time.
I thought you had said housing for women who are
I'm just trying to communicate. You know, I've been through a lot of trauma, and I just want you to know, realize that that is psychologically abusive. If someone calls and asks you about housing, and you say how counseling, and then everything but the purpose of their call, because this is how I'm treated by armies full of people. So if we could attend to the question I was
I
asking.
apologize for that, Miss Clark. I apologize for that. Let me get back to the housing. Now, you would have to come in and pick up an application, and we're taking applications on the first week of June.
I just don't know what they are. If I don't know what they are, I don't really understand why places deprive me of a knowledge of what they offer everywhere I'm at. Did the police tell you to do this?
No, ma'am.
Because if the police were coming to my environments and enlisting people to be in cahoots with my abuse, and then won't tell me about it, can you imagine how terrifying that would be? To have someone that's crooked and someone that is threatening your life, and then have people be in cahoots with it, then it just makes you feel like where's your value? But nonetheless, I would like to know the services before I spend my time doing an application to never get them. The services. So I'm not quite certain on why I was there and was there that extensive amount of time, and then nobody wanted me to know the housing services that you offer. Why would I come get an application and you don't want to tell me what it's for? You don't think that's a red flag?
Well, what it's for is for rental assistance. That's what the application is for. It's for rental assistance.
So what is the rental assistance?
If you cannot pay your rent, we pay for the deposit and the first month's rent. After that, you're responsible for the rent itself.
Okay, so if you can't pay your rent for women fleeing abuse.
Let me connect you with someone else who can answer your questions. Hold on, please. Thank you.
They're told if you get in a bind, transfer. And then most of the time it's voicemails. This is a felony, we're at risk. We're doing the best we can to cover for violating this woman. If you feel that you're backed into a corner, transfer. Hang up in her face.
Yes, ma'am. How can I help you?
I was just asking about the housing and wasn't able to get any information. I was referred to just ask questions by the Housing Authority, Victoria.
Okay, like what kind of question? Like what kind of housing questions are you looking for?
I just don't know if I thought that there was housing for women fleeing abuse, and I repeatedly have this experience. I don't know why people don't want me to know about it. If I can't tell you what you offer.
Okay, so the services that we offer is like rapid rehousing. It's to where you find the apartment and you have to have income. They will assist you for so long. Most of the time they do like the deposit and first month's rent. But you have to be the one to locate the apartment. You have to show proof of income that after, they do that initial assistance that you'd be able to continue, with the payment of the monthly rent. And you just pick up an application from our main
Rapid rehousing is just for 1 month?
No, we only assist you for, most of the time it's the deposit and first month's rent.
That's rapid rehousing?
Yes, ma'am. It's just to help assist you in getting into housing. Getting into like your new apartment or home or trailer, whichever you choose.
Oh, so any kind of environment you could help pay the first month's rent and deposit?
As long as the funding is there, yes, ma'am.
Is the funding there?
That's not my department. I couldn't tell you where the funding is.
Okay, what else do you offer?
That's it as far as that. We have pathways, but those programs are all full right now, so there's no availability in those programs.
I don't know what pathways is. I have been deprived of assistance.
Yeah, well, those programs are full right now.
I would like to be educated on what they are.
It's just a housing program that assists domestic violence victims.
Okay, so how does that assist?
I'm sorry.
How do you assist the domestic violence victims with pathways?
It's a program to where it can be up to 6 months, and the lease is actually under our name, and the client can stay up to 6 months, but they are full right now, so that's
They've
not
been
an
full
option.
for 10 years, ma'am. So they can stay for 6 months, but they're full.
But they're doing what again? I'm sorry.
Okay, you can stay in your apartment complex for 6 months. You have your own apartment complex, but they're full right now.
Correct.
And you can stay there for 6
That
months.
program's not available right now.
It's not everywhere I show up. It's not available. Okay, is that all the programs you have, or is there anything else?
That is all.
Okay, so is there other apartment complexes that for women fleeing abuse? Because I'm just sorry. I'm just
You
sorry.
would have to speak to other apartment complexes. I can't speak on what other.
I don't know which other
complexes will do.
apartment complexes they are because people lie to me, ma'am.
You can research the apartment.
I'm not able to.
Victoria.
There's other apartment complexes in Victoria for women fleeing abuse. Is that?
No, ma'am. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, so here's the thing. People lie to me, so I'm trying to get like advocacy to find. I think that someone is scheming to keep me from getting housed. That's one of the number one reasons a woman stays in abuse if she can't get shelter or housing. So I think that someone's deliberately having people conspire with leaving me in jeopardy. So I don't understand why if you're full, why would you exclude me from finding another environment that perhaps maybe I can live in, another apartment complex?
I mean, there's apartment complexes all over the city. I can't speak on what apartment complex will do for certain people. I don't work for those apartment complexes.
I'm just not really being heard as a domestic violence organization. I thought that they network with other locations to help a woman get housed. And they just then leave a woman in her problem and then say that they're full. I mean, and not only are you full, but other places that give services are full and can't give services. I'm just trying to prove it.
Again, I have no control over when apartment complexes are full.
I'm just trying to establish a pattern, ma'am. So
I completely understand that, but yeah, I have no control over that.
And then I did hear something about the apartment complex, and they said that it was 2 openings. But then they didn't want to tell me about the openings.
Apartment complex for where?
The pathways. Yes, I heard that it was 2 openings. And I don't know what other women, and there were no other parties that were on a waiting list. And it was 2 openings, and then the 2. I'm just trying. I'm not able to speak, ma'am. And then all of a sudden the openings disappeared.
Again, you would have to speak to that apartment complex or to that person in that department. I can't speak on what they have.
What's her name again? I can't remember her name. She didn't want to talk to me. After the police talked to them, they became abusive.
Okay, we don't give out our advocate's name over the phone.
Oh, okay. People don't want to be incriminated because conspiracy to violate rights is a felony, but I don't know quite how to report it because I'm telling you in multiple different other parties I was getting denied assistance other people get, but they just haven't wanted to hear it. And then I left messages for someone to call me back, and they never did regarding the misconduct and mistreatment I experienced there because I experienced it everywhere.
And you may want to reach out to them again and see if you can get someone to speak to. But I mean, I can't speak on why someone's not calling you back.
Is this the main office, or is this the main office?
Not the main office.
They didn't call me back from there to do a complaint.
To do what again? I'm sorry?
The shelter location told me to call there to do a complaint on their misconduct, and then I called this location to do the complaint, and no one has ever returned my call because it's a repeated pattern, and I think someone is enticing these businesses and organizations to mistreat me like this in a conspiracy, and I'm trying to prove it.
Okay, so who did you leave a message for at the main office?
I'm not quite sure they had me leave a message twice. Who's the party over?
You just can ask to speak to the CEO or the COO, and they will transfer you to the
I did, and left a message twice, and my call wasn't returned. It may have been more than twice.
Okay, well, unfortunately, you might just have to call again. I can't speak on
people say this all the time. I've been calling locations for years. I just
And again, I can't speak on to why someone has not called you back. That's not my, you're not calling to speak with, leaving messages. I can't speak on to why they have not called you back. I have no control over that.
Okay, may I have your position?
I'm sorry?
May I have your position?
I'm just a hotline operator.
Okay, you're a hotline operator, and you know about the apartment complexes and the rapid rehousing, and you said that was a deposit for 1 month and rent for 1 month. No, ma'am, because I came in there, I got the paperwork, and they said it was for 3 months.
Okay, then they may have changed it. You would have to speak to that department.
Okay, so you said 1 month, and then they said, and I've heard 3 months. I don't know the truth because I get treated like
this.
this.
From the actual department, or are you hearing 3 months from a third party?
I came in to ask questions, and then I heard something about 3 months, and I'm just trying to get clarity on why people aren't being honest with me about the services. Is it 3 months?
So did you hear?
It may be on the paper. I just don't understand why I can't get clarity on the truth. Can you find out if it's actually 3 months?
Are you going to allow me to speak? So are you hearing 3 months from the actual department, the person, the head of the department, or are you hearing 3 months from a third party?
I could have sworn it was from the actual person there, and I may have the information on this paper that I got from them. I thought it was 3 months.
Then you would need to, if the head of the department told you 3 months, then you may need to call and speak with them. They may have.
I don't understand why I can't. Can we get clarity? Because I don't want to rip and run and do all that, and we don't have clarity on what the services actually are.
That's why you need to speak to the head of that department.
I don't know how that could happen if that can't happen if I'm on the phone with this location now. This is just really isn't making sense. I just don't know how to get to that department. They put you on the line. I was speaking to somebody else. Then I got you, and I called this location for no one to know. This is bizarre.
Okay, so the head of the rapid rehousing department is our main office.
I thought this was the main office.
No, again, this is not the main office. I am an advocate for the hotline.
How did I call the main office and they transferred me to you, someone that don't know?
They transferred you to me. So if you want to speak to the rapid rehousing department,
I just called the main office, ma'am. Can you put someone on the phone that has the information and feedback? I think that they're transferring me to people that'll be accomplices to crimes. You said, I'm sorry, what, ma'am?
I can transfer you back to the main office.
Okay, I'm not quite certain on why the main office would transfer me to you, ma'am.
I can't answer why they transferred you.
Maybe the feds can answer it, ma'am. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. This doesn't make sense for me to be asking questions and no one has the answers.
Okay, would you like to be transferred back to the main
I
office?
did communicate that, ma'am.
Would you like to be transferred back to the main office?
Are you being psychologically abusive, ma'am? I did say yes, multiple different times.
Okay, just 1 second.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? You're not muted?
Yes, ma'am. No, how can I help you?
Did I just speak with you and get you transferred me to someone else?
Yes, ma'am. I did. I was told you needed some information on rapid rehousing.
I'd like to know the programs that you offer.
Okay, can you hold on? I'm going to transfer you to a case manager. Hold on.
Ma'am,
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what's happening. Are you the one that's going to tell me about the housing?
Yes, ma'am, but I'm going to transfer you to someone who will give you more information.
Is it a voicemail, ma'am?
No, ma'am, it is not.
Okay.
You know what? Hold on. Let me see who's here, because now that you said that, I think they've left. Hold on. I'm going to transfer you to a case manager. Hold on, please. Thank you.
Hello, this is Bob. Can I help you?
Are you a case manager?
I'm sorry?
Are you a case manager?
In the homes department, yes, ma'am.
Okay, they told me you could tell me about housing.
Sure. What's your question?
Okay, what kind of housing programs do you have there for the women fleeing abuse?
Okay. If you're in an abusive situation, you can come in and get an application to fill out, and we'll certainly see what we can do to help you. If it's an immediate situation where you need to get away, I can put you in touch with our shelter and let you talk to them.
Okay, I wanted to know the programs. That's what I'm requesting, to know, have knowledge on the different programs. Multiple different parties want me to give out applications and try to conceal what I'm actually applying for. That's bizarre. Because it makes common sense that you want to know what you're coming out, making a trip to apply for. but people try to conceal that, and I'd like to know what the programs are.
Right, I understand. Well, we have the rapid rehousing where we pay the first month's rent deposit, and we can pay up to 3 months depending on funding. We also have the Pathways program where we can pay up to 6 months for someone to help get away and get into place. And the first step in any of those is to come in and get an application and fill out.
Okay, what's the permanent supportive housing? PSH.
Permanent supportive housing, that's for people who have been homeless for over a year and have a disability. Most have some income, but that's not required.
Okay, so you have to be disabled and chronically homeless together.
Yeah, you have to be chronically homeless.
Okay. Chronically homeless and disabled together?
Well, you have to have some type of disability that would keep you from supporting yourself totally.
Okay. Okay, so the rapid rehousing can be up to 3 months, depending on the funding.
Exactly.
Okay, so at the shelters, do they don't disclose to women the programs that they have and offer the housing opportunities to women there?
They do. They offer the Pathway program there also. The actual shelter is just a temporary housing up to, I think, 2 weeks, but then they can also help you get started to apply for the other programs where it's longer. Okay.
They did not do that, and I tried to report that, and no one called back. Jackie excluded me from those services, and I was excluded from multiple different other services, and it's a pattern for me. I'm trying to prove it. I think that my abuser, this is vital. And each time I'm trying to report criminal activity, people interrupt me to cover for it. Do you realize how sadistic that is if people are letting someone that's threatening to take my life control them for profit? Even a domestic violence organization? But you have to come in contact with people that realize that's misconduct and problematic behavior. But dollar signs blinds a lot of people. I just want you to be aware of this man threatening to take my life, and the police department as well as this organization were in cahoots with it. I think that's sadistic and sick. But I can't repeatedly tell people about it because they're ignoring me and talking over me to cover for it. I've left several messages for my calls not to be returned. But, perhaps maybe one day I'll find someone with integrity that knows that this is sadistic and sick. For someone to talk organizations into depriving me of assistance to flee them. And they do it. Okay.
If you would like to report that to our CEO or someone, I'd be glad to transfer you.
I've already left messages and my calls haven't been returned. This has happened years, and multiple different locations treat me the same way and just leave me stuck in the problem and won't return my calls. In fact, I'll go ahead, just for the evidence, go ahead and call the family place and see what they have regarding the same pattern of behavior and putting me out because the car sped up like it was going to hit me on their camera footage. Let's see what lie they have to cover for it. Okay, sir, this is fruitless. I'm just trying to obtain evidence of my experiences. And hopefully one day it'll end. Okay, thank you. They hung up the hotline. I have to call back. Let's see if I hang up again. I haven't talked to anyone.
Your call.
My device is remotely controlled. They don't want me incriminating anyone.
Yep.
They won't let me place the call. They did this with the court.
Your call.
I just can't call the police. This isn't the first time this has happened. You just got to see it to believe it. Yeah, when I start experiencing this, they're typically trying to scam a false arrest because they normally try to hide it.
They're feeling they are in any type of crisis, if they're needing support, if they're looking for resources. There's a lot of.
You're not telling me the name of the business. You're just saying the crisis line. I was in the middle of a call, and I don't know what organization you're with.
It just depends because your call came through on what's called our crisis backup. So I'm not sure what line you originally called. We answer a lot of different.
Well, here's the problem. I get spoof calls, and then when I'm deliberately trying to incriminate people call to try to interrupt crimes that are being committed currently, and I'm trying to prove my experiences. But I can't tell you if I call if you refuse to tell me where I called. You're not making sense. You're saying I called a crisis line, but you won't tell me which one.
It looks like you called in on the Gulf Bend crisis line.
Okay, I don't. This is bizarre because okay, I see. Okay,
So, were you looking for support groups?
I was.
Okay.
I'm just not quite certain. So let me make sure I understand. So you called to get it. Was I looking for services, and now you got to transfer me again to someone else?
I wasn't the person who called you, so I'm going to transfer you to the person who did reach out to you.
Let's see how this goes, man.
No,
They're not available right now,
no.
and no one
No,
can
they
tell me
aren't.
anything about support groups there. And you call me.
I will be able to do that. What we like to do is transfer you to the person who you originally spoke with. But since they're not available, I can go through and talk to you about some different support groups if that is what you're wanting.
Right, that would be nice.
Right. Okay. You're looking for.
If this is a repeated pattern, is there a problem with you telling me the kind that you offer? The problem that I repeatedly am facing, people want me to get out, tell them the services without telling me the services that they offer. That's pretty much impossible because I don't know what you have. So therefore, I never get the services.
Okay. So are you having any issues with suicidal thoughts?
No.
Okay. Have you ever had any issues with those?
Ma'am, I don't really understand what the how many support groups do you have? Can you tell me how many you have?
I can't tell the specifics because we have to see what group you're wanting. So
okay, so let me make sure I understand this. I want everyone in my presence to understand. So you have support groups, but you're hiding the name of the support groups and the kind. So your best suggestion is to tell you what support group I want, not knowing what all support groups you have.
So there would be support groups for people who are suffering from depression, suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, violence. So that's why I'm trying to gather that information from you. But it seems like you're withholding that information. I'm not trying to.
I feel like I'm being gaslit. This is how it is for me getting services, and I thought trying to torment someone, antagonize them, and treat them this way for getting services in a conspiracy was criminal. So if people are backed into a corner to give me services, they want to terrorize me and violate me in the process of getting it. You just have to prove it. So I thought that would be misconduct if I'm just asking you for service. I thought it would be misconduct if I'm asking you to tell me the names of the groups and you blame me for withholding information, and that's basically gaslighting because that's what you were guilty of doing. It's impossible.
I'm not trying to make you feel any type of way.
I just don't want it to be violated trying to get services like what I've experienced for years. So do you have any for like domestic violence or people that just, that PTSD or for anxiety or anything like that?
Yes, we definitely do. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know it can be difficult to get services, and I definitely don't want to stop you from getting those services. So you said domestic violence, PTSD, and anxiety.
Right. I wish I could know all the services. I told you I did not. I don't know why people, want to capitalize off services they know I don't need. That's been a pattern for me, and that's what things services they'll point out something that they know I can't utilize, and then they hide the ones that would benefit me.
And I'm going to be providing you with the services or support groups that would benefit you, and that's why I said thank you for sharing. We do have. There's a phone number for it, and you can call it, which I can provide it to you. There's also a women's crisis shelter.
I'm confused. This has happened on another call. Do you realize it's psychologically abusive if I'm telling you that I want support groups that you offer and you're sending me somewhere else and saying that they're shelter and I'm asking for a support group? Do you realize that that's psychologically abusive?
Ma'am, I'm not trying to do anything like that to you. I'm trying to provide you with the things that you were asking for.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm being blamed because I did ask for support groups that you offer. And you wouldn't tell me the support groups in Malice, so I told you what I had need for, and then you're telling me about support groups somewhere else. Since you would not give me the support groups you offer in Malice, that's why I went ahead and told you what I could use.
This is the crisis line, and unfortunately, I don't work for the program that offers the support groups, so that is why you do have to call somewhere else.
So you didn't think that you should have told me that? I have these calls to waste my time. You'd have to prove that it's repeatedly happening. So you told me that you needed. I was withholding information for the support groups. Now, after all this time,
withholding information.
You told me that I would not. Okay, well, the bottom line of it is that you told me that you were going to help me with support groups after you played games for 8 minutes. Now, call me to interrupt me exposing crimes. You call me to interrupt me exposing crimes somebody else was committing. My phone is hiding this call with you. I'm trying to see how long. So I've been on the line with you 8 minutes for you to give me these support groups to get nowhere. You told me you were going to give me the support.
Would you like to share your name, and I can have someone else call you back to provide that information for you?
No, ma'am. This is I just have to prove to people I get prank calls like this. That people.
So this is not a prank call.
It is a prank call, ma'am. What's your name?
My name is Krista.
It is a form of a prank call, ma'am. If you call these people repeatedly, call me year after year to give me services, and then get off the phone without giving me services, that's a form of prank calling. It's like harassment.
Okay. So this call is unproductive. I'm going to disconnect.
I know you called me to give me the. You said you want to give me support groups, and it's unproductive. They won't let me place the call for the family place. They don't want these people incriminated, and my phone's being remotely controlled, knowing you never believe my story. Can't place the call. They did this with a family court. Yes, my phone is remotely controlled, and it keeps disconnecting calls when I'm in crisis situations and prevents me from using it. I've had my phone service cut off and my data, and I just don't know why I deserve to be treated like this and denied law enforcement. I don't know what to do.
Do you want me to have an officer call you or go out and talk to you?
Well, they set me up. They commit crimes and then want me to report them and use those in schemes to take my freedom. I don't know, maybe call. I just haven't had rights that other citizens have. Can you imagine how that feels to be on a crisis hotline and someone hangs up your calls and you just have to keep taking it?
Okay, so do you want me to have somebody call you so you can report it?
I can try to. I've reported it. They won't investigate it. Do you have reports right now that they won't investigate? I don't know what to do, why the police department would repeatedly treat me like this and force me to live like this.
I'm not sure, ma'am, but I can try to get somebody to call you if you'd like.
We can see how that works.
Okay. You want to give me your name and phone number?
So I'm bombarded with numbers that are trying to interrupt calls year after year, and I want to prove it.
Hello, you have reached an inactive number.
I just get these calls from nowhere.
Dial it again.
And I used to click over, and then it would be nothing, and then the other party on the end would hang up. So they were in cahoots together, monitoring everything. And when it's too incriminating, they have someone call me, knowing nobody would believe my story. And then when I try to call back to see what it is, since it was a scam, then I can't get through. Then this other party claims she wanted to help from the crisis hotline playing games. She didn't know, trying to interrupt me, incriminating other people. But it's happened years. I know what they're doing. So then she, states that she wants to give me the support group spinning my wheels. Then she's going to want to give it to me games to 8 minutes, almost 10 minutes of games to tell me to talk to someone else. It's like a rich person's form of a prank call. I've been banned calling places for months and then tried to call the police and they cover for it. Vital places. This number is a family place and I keep getting a voicemail. I don't know why it cut off.
Our regular business hours are Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Oh, I guess they're close.
You're calling
Family place, I can help you.
Yes, I have some questions.
How can we help you?
This is the family place?
This is a family place. How can we help you?
Okay. You mind if I have your name?
How can we help you, ma'am?
Yes, I like to know what happened with my request for assistance. And I wanted clarity on when I lived on property and the car sped up like it was going to hit me, and me trying to report this ad and get help to.
You need to call law enforcement with that, because if a car is trying to hit you, you definitely need to call law enforcement. We can't offer assistance with that. That's an emergency.
Well, it happened in the past. I'm not really being heard clearly.
How long was it ago?
Are you upset about something?
How long was this incident?
Oh, it's been a while. I just wanted to get clarity on what happened. What's the director name? Was her name Tiffany?
Tiffany is no longer with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get clarity on why policies wasn't followed, and when it was on the camera footage, why the police came and removed me and told me to go to the bridge, and I couldn't get shelter there and had to sleep outside, terrified for my life. Why didn't they follow policy and get me in another safe environment and put me out and call the police on me for a car speeding up like it was going to hit me? Why, when was I repeatedly getting hung up on, and all these places I call are so furious? She hung up. Hold on my phone. She's been off the phone 1 minute. It called on its own another number to cover for that. I didn't dial that number. I know you got to see it to believe it. That's why I record my calls.
Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line and someone will be.
They hung up. Since they knew I was calling for this block number, they're now hanging up from this block number. I don't know if someone's having these people treat me like this.
Your call is important to us.
Spoofing calls,
Please stay
or
on the
what's
line
happening.
and someone will be with you shortly. Su llamada es importante para nosotros.
But I didn't say have
Por favor,
any interaction, but they
manténgase
knew
en
not to
línea
talk to me,
y alguien estará
to
con
conceal
usted
crimes.
en breve.
Okay. I can't get to police headquarters. I cannot get through to them. Be calling years. So I've done all these reports in multiple different locations in Dallas, and police headquarters is a central hub for the reports for all the crimes. They don't want to talk to me because it's over like probably maybe 100 or so reports ranging from hit and runs, pickpocketing, stalking, gang stalking, threats, assault with deadly weapons, all kind of crimes. So they're covering for the crimes and never answer the phone. Years. So in certain situations, I was panicking because it would be a crime committed. And I'm trying to get a hold of the headquarters because all the other departments said that it was being routed to police headquarters, including Garland locations and multiple different other ones. Well, they knew that the Dallas Police Headquarters was bought off and paid in full to enforce crimes. So all these multiple different locations routed me back to this location, knowing that they were bought off and controlled and paid in full and would cover for all my expenses. So that's why multiple different locations, if you see on videos, surrounding areas wanted to railroad me back to Dallas because it's bought off and controlled. I knew it was bought off and controlled, so I went to other locations and they railroaded me back to Dallas in corruption. So I want to call them and ask them about the police report and then ask them why I was removed from the family place when the car sped up like it was going to hit me. The police don't want to talk to me because they're setting it up, which are tax dollars. They're taking bribes to allow this man to terrorize me and commit all these crimes, and he enlists all these police departments to cover for his crimes. So they don't want to talk to me. They know it and probably set up people to do half of it. I'm just trying to prove it's happening. You see for yourself, a whole police department won't answer the phone. People I don't know hung up in my face like they've been doing years.
Officer Pedersen, can I help you?
Yes, I'm sorry. What was your name?
Officer Pedersen,
Okay, and your badge number?
8900.
Okay, I have questions. Perhaps maybe you could help me. I had issues with a lot of different hotels in that area, scheming so I couldn't stay in them. And I reported it to the police because it was bizarre on people I didn't know blatantly lying on me, so I couldn't stay at hotels. I was terrified for my life. It has now escalated to the police department coming out on some mysterious reason, removing me from hotels. But these people would blatantly lie on me and put me out of multiple different hotels. So it was so abnormal and peculiar, I reported it to the police. In addition to that report, I have another report of how I was sitting at Salvation Army courtyard alone. It's enclosed in a cement fence away from everything. And then I was the police, four police came, bum rushed me, told me I was blocking traffic, and hauled me off to Parkland, where all my property came up missing, including my jewelry and shoes, ID, social, money, debit card, everything that I had. So I keep calling police headquarters for years. I did report this, and then when I went to the hospital, I had Dr. Jenkins blatantly lie on me on camera footage, saying that we had an examination, psych eval that we didn't have, and she said that she was going to keep me hospitalized past that hold. I thought about that. I hadn't talked to Dr. Jenkins, period. So I reported Dr. Jenkins to the police. So they took my phone out my room, and then so I couldn't report any more criminal activity from people, the staff at Parkland. But if anyone were to review the camera footage, they can see that I was pathologically lied on at these hotels. They can see that I was pathologically lied on at Salvation Army shelter. They can see that I was pathologically lied on at the hospital. Why would police? I can't get the police headquarters to get an update on my reports. They're not answering the phone for several years.
I don't know, ma'am.
Well, this is the police department. I think that we need to get some answers. How is it that someone could report crimes and nobody has a resolution on why they're not getting law enforcement? Isn't that criminal?
Okay, so far I haven't heard any actual crimes in what you've described, ma'am.
Oh, so someone taking someone's freedom, blatantly lying on them to take someone's freedom, that's not a crime? I thought that was for false reporting. That was a felony. If it was taking...
Are you referring to the doctor?
I'm referring to when I was at the courtyard of Salvation Army on camera footage, and then they said I was blocking traffic and I had been there 4 or 5 hours. It was blatant lie. I thought that false report, taking someone's freedom, was a felony.
Okay, so someone called, or how did you come into contact with police, ma'am?
The police, 3 or 4 police, just showed up on a blatant lie. They also did it at my sister's house. It's happened at multiple different... I don't know who lied. It was a blatant lie. I think the police department's putting people up to do it, and therefore deny me investigations for crimes they set up.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that this is kind of peculiar and a red flag. If someone's reporting crimes 10 years, how is it that law enforcement can say, I don't know, and not be charged with obstructing justice?
I don't know, ma'am.
So I don't know how to intercept people racking up felonies. I mean, I'm reporting crimes to you, and I'm trying to get an update expressing to you that police headquarters haven't answered the phone in years. And I'd like to know, and I'd also like to know why the police department was guarding me at these hospital stays, ensuring, supervising everything that happened. I'm just not really being heard because these hospital stays were peculiar and abusive. I just wanted to get answers, and I would have wanted direction. It's like everyone I'm calling is covering for crimes. I don't know why the police was at my provider.
I would suggest going there.
I'm not in that location, but what I was trying to communicate with you, and you didn't want me communicating with you, I'm not quite certain why the police department would be at these hospitals. In one hospital, they had feces all over the bathroom mirror, and then demanded that I keep that room. The police had told me prior that they had to get my room ready, and was smirking. And I got to the room, and it was feces smeared all over the bathroom mirror. So they tried to demand that I keep that room, and I said, I'm suing you. That's someone else's fecal matter. That's unsanitary. So then they thought about it and moved me to another room. But the thing of it is, I'm not quite certain on why police would guard me at hospital stays. And then when I questioned why they were guarding me, they disappeared. So if it was, for my protection, it appeared that I was being violated at these hospital stays. And they were trying to ensure that no one helped me, which is why they abused tax dollars and were guarding me at these environments that I was put in fraudulently. So it was the police lied on me to get me there, then wanted to guard me to make sure no one helped me. And they didn't.
Okay, so Ma'am, I don't know the answers to your questions. I don't know. I don't know that there's anything I can really help you with if we're
So
talking
is it?
about,
I'm just trying to get clarity on how it works in the United States.
I don't.
I just maybe I'm just a little bit naive, but it appears to me that the police department can rack up felonies to kingdom come, to know tomorrow.
Okay.
And it just doesn't seem to be any accountability. No one knows how to get a police officer charges that they have racked up for themselves a decade. It's just impossible. It can't be done. So I'm just trying to get clarity because maybe I'm just not safe in this country because it doesn't appear to be any accountability for law enforcement that abuses their power and racks up felonies for profit. I'm just trying to expose my experiences. So reporting this insanity year after year has gotten me nowhere. So I just want to make sure that we're on one accord, that we both have a common ground, that we both understand that when police are committing crimes and racking up felonies for themselves, that as from what it appears, there is a different standard. And there's an impossibility to report being terrorized and violated by multiple different police departments. You are stating that you don't know what to do when police officers perpetually break the law. Are we in meeting the common ground? Would that be accurate?
That's not what I said.
Okay, well, I would like to know if I'm reporting police officers perpetually breaking the law over and over again.
I would suggest going to headquarters and making complaints. That's what I would do if I were you.
Okay, but let me make sure I do have a common ground. So it is a person, if they're reporting a crime, the police department's committing, I guess you're robbed of the right for a normal phone call to report a crime. You have to go to headquarters and report police actively committing a crime.
You can report all the crimes that you want to, just not over the phone.
Okay, I'm just not quite certain on how you report crimes that police were committing, because at South Central Patrol, I'm just not really being heard. At South Central Patrol, I call to report crimes that the police were committing and got tickets. And then slander. I'm just trying to get clarity. I just think that I think that there's a disconnect and maybe there's different agendas.
I suggest calling 911.
I'm not really being heard. I'm trying to let you know that I did call 911 at South Central Patrol and got a ticket.
Okay.
They're reporting crimes that the police repeatedly commit.
If you have a problem with how the police served you that day, then I would suggest going to headquarters and making a complaint about it. But there's nothing that I'm going to be able to do over the phone, especially after hearing all of this, whatever I'm hearing. I have absolutely no idea exactly how to help you over the phone. So my suggestion would be, again, go to the headquarters wherever you have been wronged by the police department and initiate.
Is there a way for you to get me place to call police headquarters? Because I've been calling for years and can't get through. And then some kind of way, I'm just not, I would like to be able to communicate. I get nowhere. This is like abusive on call to call to experience this 10 years. Each person I'm calling is covering for crimes. I'm just trying to prove it. What I was trying to say is they want to make sure I lose my train of thought by deliberately talk while I'm talking so I can't effectively communicate. It's caused me to have a speech impediment.
Over with. So I wish you the best.
I just think that this is abusive to experience this call to call for people repeatedly covering for crimes year after year and being forced in this living hell. Okay, so it's really a mind game and I try not to let it bother me. But if you really think about the extremity of this, you have a device that you're paying a bill on and you're speaking with con artists that are deliberately trying to upset you. It's one thing to have someone prank call you and play games, and prank call you on the line, but to have people prank call you and then have people like pranking you making calls. And I absolutely understand how that sounds, which is why I record my calls. So the expectation is for me to live in the United States, can be violated on my phone everywhere I call, and be comfortable with that. Be comfortable with people being enlisted to threaten me, degrade me on a whim, take my freedom on a whim. Just be comfortable. Just pray. Which praying is very powerful. But if there's no people for God to reach out to use, if there's how effective would that be? And I'm not minimizing prayer, but that's what everyone has. Their conclusion is to get mental health treatment, to deal with being violated, get mental health treatment that I can't get. Nonetheless, I think it's fruitless, to vent, and I just think it's incredible. I cannot believe that they are doing this. And the whole YouTube channel, I just, wow. I can't get there, but to say, do you see this? Do you see this too? Are you just as amazed as me? Every people in my environment's covered for the insanity. They don't want to talk about it and turn their back and leave me in it, even at church. Okay, I guess I'm done today. I don't know what to do. Everyone is denied assistance, and I like to be proactive. I like to get in support groups, be involved in the community, and do different things that's positive. I can't. You see it.